Hello, and thank you for joining me on Real Actors, Real Answers, the podcast where you are the star. Today, I am so excited. I've been waiting for this quite some time to interview Christina May Loeffler. She is an actress, and she does a lot. I've watched her from afar on Facebook, and she is moving ahead in her career at a phenomenal rate. I love to read the stories and everything. So here she is. Hey, Christina, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. So, where are you originally from?
So I was born in Pennsylvania, partially raised in Indiana, but most of my life has been in Georgia.
Okay. All right.
Complicated answer, but essentially
Okay.
Georgia.
That's okay. That's okay. When did you first become interested or catch the bug of acting?
I have a cat with me, as you can tell. Sorry, he's very
It's
needy
okay.
right now.
Okay. I love
Um,
cats.
Interested in acting. Well, I started in crew, and I had been in crew for about 2.5 years. And I realized that I started watching the other actors and just imagining what I would have done or how I would play that character. And it wasn't like judging them necessarily. It was just kind of like, oh, this is very interesting to me. Like psychology was always kind of interesting to me, like ideas of how people react to certain things, how different people will take information and process it. And so I was just very interested in all of that and understanding people and human nature. And so I realized I was like, you know what? And my sister started getting into acting, and I was like, well, it might not be as hard as you think, because you think as a child, you have that little dream of, I want to be a big star. It's not that like I was always a realist. So I was like, that's just one of those things that will just never happen. It's too great a deal and a risk to do. Um, but I saw my sister doing it, and she was kind of loving it. She does writing and directing as well, so she does like a whole bunch of things. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a shot for maybe a year or so, and if the Lord keeps leading the way to stay in it, then I'll keep staying in it. And so that's what's been happening for the past, I'd say about 2.5 years as well. 2.5.
Awesome. Because every time
Mm-hmm.
I go on Facebook or social media, I see that great smile of yours, and you're always doing something. You're always in
Oh,
this role in this film. And let me ask you, what was your favorite role? I mean, so far.
oh my goodness, so far. It's a tricky one. I've been cast lately in a lot of period pieces, which are just so much fun. So it's really tricky to say like which one's my favorite. I will say I had one of my favorite moments. Maybe not like the favorite part to play, but my favorite moment was I was able to kind of talk the director into letting me be in this scene. Um, and my character was able to fit into that scene. But it was a swing dance scene. And I told him, I was like, I can actually swing dance if you want to add me as a part of that. And so they ended up having me swing dance with actually one of the grips. He knew how to swing dance, and they're like, go ahead and swing with her. And I got to swing dance, and he messaged me back later saying, he's like, it was great. I loved that you were in it. It looks amazing. Thank you. I was like, oh my gosh. So that was one of my favorite parts, is being able to actually like dance in a scene. Because that's something I would like to be able to do, like musicals and things like that. So that was really fun. Really fun.
Now, you mentioned musicals, Christina. Do you like theater or film more, or is it a toss-up?
Funny story, I have never done a theater play yet. And my goal is to, Lord willing, if I can build enough money from either commercials or other films, I want to take some time next year to be able to do a play. So I can't actually give you an educated answer yet which one I prefer. I love film, I love TV. So I'm planning on staying in that, but yeah, I'm really wanting to get some theater experience just for that well-rounded experience as an actor.
Do you travel a lot for this?
I do. I do. I there have not been a lot of things that I've actually done a whole lot in Georgia. And if I do it in Georgia, there's still a little bit of travel. Um, like I just did one in Columbus, Georgia, and so that was still like I'm trying to think. I think it was 3 hours for that. So yeah, on average, all of my parts have been pretty far away. The one that I got to swing dance was in Iowa. So yeah, pretty far away.
Okay. Okay. I think it would be pretty. I think it's fun when you find it necessary to travel
Oh yeah.
to different locations and just meet new people. How does your family think? What does your family think of you being an actress?
At first, like I I kind of had that mindset. I was starting to get that like diva kind of real proud mindset when I first started acting, still immature. And I got real excited about it. And my mom at first she was supportive, but at the same time, she's a great mom. She's concerned for my soul and, how I deal with my relationship with the Lord and like a career, and especially being a woman, how does that um feed into if you want family, kids, marriage, all that. So at first, my mom was just concerned, she just wanted to make sure my priorities were correct, but she's been supportive the entire time. She knows that, like, she's prayed about it. I've prayed about it. I mean, we're continually praying about it. But yeah, she's always supported me. I started as crew, so I was already traveling a lot in film. And then when the actor thing came on, it kind of was, I think she was kind of already used to the aspect of film, so it wasn't a huge shock. So it's been mainly more just like, all right, are we still focused, on the Lord? Where is he taking you? And if that's in step with him, then keep doing it. Um, so yeah, she's been very, very supportive overall.
Good. I like what you said about God, about the Lord. It's God makes life fun. We should make plans, counting on God to direct us. It's like He wants to do it with us. He
Hmm.
allows us the free will. Okay, make plans, but talk to me about it because I want to share it with you because I gave it to you, and I created man for friendship. You know.
I really feel like the Lord ordains my steps, honestly. I would be so lost without his guidance. There are some parts that I've had to turn down, things that I could have tried to audition for, scripts that I've gotten in that just do not fit with my moral values. And it's honestly just the Lord's guidance being like, no, this is not worth your time. This is not worth your energy to put into when it's going to break all your like moral like conscience, and that's so important as an actor. I mean, one of the biggest things as an actor is be able to say no. And I think that's sometimes how it can be tricky because it's your livelihood. I mean, if you want to be a working full-time actor, being able to pay your bills without having to have, your at least like online job or some random job or waitressing, if you want to not have that kind of job and stay as a working actor, it's really tricky to sometimes having to say no. But at the same time, I think it's very essential. It's very essential to be able to say no as an actor and know where your boundaries are.
I like that. That's very mature. Now, do you have a survival job, as they'd say in New York, or do you
Yeah.
just do this?
No, I do. I work online for a radio show called Real Life Radio. And it's a ministry talking to people about their testimonies and how they came to Christ from a very traumatic past.
That's your job?
Yes, it is. It's so good.
That is so cool. How long have you been doing that?
Oh my word. I think, wow, 6, 7 months, maybe close to a year now. Trying to think. Yeah, I think I started potentially in February.
Wow. Okay. So you're a radio host.
So I'm actually not the host. So
Okay.
I am the assistant to the host. So actually, he's asked me if I wanted to be kind of on his show because we've also built like YouTube channels and we're building like other areas as attached to radio show. But no, I've told him, I'm like, I'm happy to stay in the background. I'm happy to schedule everything, get guests on. I don't have to be on the screen this time. So actually, I'm not. I do a lot of the scheduling and stuff.
I'm going to ask you this for the benefit of the audience, and I'm fascinated myself. How did you get a job like that? Because that's wow.
It's interesting. He was an executive producer on a film that I had heard about. And I can't remember if he friend requested or I friend requested him, but we got connected on Facebook, oddly enough. And I know that like usually I would say people don't like try to find a job through Facebook on average with that kind of thing, because if you haven't met that person. But yeah, like we met on Facebook, we got to chatting, and then we had a phone call. We told each other's testimonies. I heard that he was an evangelist, and I was like, I would love to hear your testimony sometime. And so he shared his testimony. He asked me about my testimony. We got to talking. He prayed for me, and he nonchalant just mentioned something about internship or something. And I was like, you know what? I've actually been just thinking about trying to find an online job. I'd be interested in learning more about like the internship that I have. And so it just started from there. He's like, oh, you know, it's just working for a radio show and then talking about that. And then it just slowly evolved. Now I'm one of his staff.
It's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
a God, what I like to call that's a God door.
Oh, absolutely. There was no way that happened. I was actually on set at the time that we like were talking, and I was like, what is this? He was like, do you want to talk? I'm like, well, I'm on set, so give me a little bit of time. But yeah, it was really, really cool.
What is your biggest challenge, or what has been rather your biggest challenge in the acting world, whether it be chemistry on set or getting a role or travel? What could you share with that?
Not focusing on myself so much. So as an actor, I think we get stuck a lot of times, like you have to market yourself, you have to get yourself out there, social media, all of that, your face, your brand, all of that, your essence. It starts to become all about you. And that's what I was saying about like how I struggled with in the beginning, being like, it like, and I naturally am. I will say it upright. I struggle with pride already. And so being an actor, it's even more tricky, not getting into that like, oh, it's all about me. It's all about me. No, it's not about me. It's about the message. It's about the gospel. It's about the Lord, him first and foremost. And then it's about your teammates, the other actors you're working with. Because as an actor, you always need to be giving and not trying to always take. Because it's that relationship that you have to build, like for your scene. So yeah, I think that the biggest struggle is just not focusing on myself and staying focused on others and where God has put me. And it's a great journey. It's so much better when you're not focused on yourself, because if you get in your head, you're not going to be a good actor. You're not. It's not going to play out. But the more you are focused on the other person and what they're saying, it's going to be a way better scene.
Everything you said was delightful, and I love your personality and how you talk and everything. But one thing I got to tell you really stood out. The moment you said I struggle with pride, you just killed it. The moment you say, I struggle with this fear or this pride or this, it runs and hides, because it likes to stay in the dark where it can control you. So I just had to say that. That's character, and I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about the actress, you. So yeah, that's amazing. Now, again, I probably asked this, or maybe you touched on it. How long have you been acting?
I'd say officially about 2 years. There was a time when I decided, I was just like, I'm going to tell people I'm an actor and I'm going to pursue it. And so I was like trying to get into classes and stuff. And I'd say that was about close to 2.5 years, 2.5 years. I'm still trying to remember. Sometimes I think time has flown by and it's been so much longer or shorter, so it's really hard for me to say exactly. But I'd say it's probably about the 2-year mark.
Okay. Wow, you've accomplished a lot. How many films have you done?
You know, I keep it's sad, but sometimes I forget. Like I've done a lot of small roles. So I don't know, I'd say maybe 5, 6.
5 or 6?
Yeah.
You know, I think what stands out, because 5 or 6, to me, everybody has a different viewpoint, a different take on things. But when I've seen you with your great headshots, who did, number one, who did your headshots? They're fabulous.
That's my acting coach. She's wonderful. Her name is Barbara Benville at Just Breathe Acting, and she's in Marietta, Georgia. So she's my acting coach near me.
No, they're
Yeah, she's
fabulous.
amazing. So if anybody is looking for an acting coach or a coaching session, she coaches people in LA. She's the one to go to. Barbara Benville, Just Breathe Acting.
I
Yeah,
like the name. That's a
her.
fabulous name. Just Breathe Acting.
Oh, it's perfect. It's all about it's so good. I mean, naturally the way you breathe, there's a whole science behind like even sometimes the way you breathe can be connected to emotions, your body language, everything. And so the way you're breathing can tell people, can either relax your body, or lack of breathing can tighten up your body so you actually are not as free with yourself, so it keeps you from being able to do a scene. And so that's why it's Just Breathe. She's very focused first on like, okay, are you breathing? Because when you breathe, when you get the oxygen in, it kind of frees those things. It like helps your brain cells. It helps your memory. It helps a lot of things. There's so much connected to your breathing.
She teaches this.
Yeah, so she teaches Meisner, but she focuses obviously on your body language, on everything that's going on, and she can tell if you're kind of holding in your breath. She knows that, like, okay, hey, take a breath. And as soon as you take a breath, you can see the emotions flood over you because you're allowing yourself to like almost take that mental moment, but at the same time, it's like it's natural, you know, taking a breath is only natural. And so being able to do that, it frees up a lot of things.
Now, I'm a coach. I'm an acting coach as well. As an actor, I would like to talk to her.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's fabulous. Does she offer in-person classes and online?
Yeah, so I don't think they're necessarily like online classes, like an entire like Zoom kind of class. She was on set, so she's a working actor as well, actress. So she was on set just last week, so she did offer a Zoom class for all of her students since she was out of town. But she has an in-person studio and taping studio, but she also has clients in LA. She has a bunch of clients who are now like full-time working actors, but they still come to her for coaching sessions, for their headshots, sometimes self-taping if they're back in the area. So she does still do a whole lot of things. She's a photographer. She's done weddings and stuff before. She used to work for a managing agency. She was in LA for 30 years, so she still has contacts there. And then now she's been in Atlanta for, I think, about 10, 11 years now. So yeah, so she
Christina,
does a lot, but yeah, she offers a lot of different services.
Christina, how did you meet her?
That was another God thing. I was at the film festival here in Woodstock, the Christian Worldview Film Festival, which I know a whole bunch of people love to go to that. And there were a few people. Her name is Joni Geiger, and a few other people that I had met. And I was talking to one of my friends, and we were taking acting classes online with Tina Gallo, actually. She's up in Nashville. And during
I know.
COVID, she's who I trained with.
Okay, she's good too. Yeah.
Yeah. I trained method acting with her over Zoom. But I was feeling like I needed the next step of an in-person, and I knew I couldn't do it with Tina just because I was so far away. And so I met some people, and I met Joni, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking of maybe looking into an acting coach who lives near me. And she's like, well, I have one in Atlanta here. Her name's Barbara Benville. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was talking to another person, and he was like, yeah, I have an acting coach. I'm like, oh, who's your acting coach? And he's like, Barbara Bentham, Just Great Acting. And I was like, what are the odds that I keep hearing her name? So I was like, you know what? I just need to reach out to her and talk to her. And as soon as we started talking, we clicked. She's a firm believer. So she uplifts me spiritually, um, emotionally, and career-wise. And she's an all-around amazing friend to me as well. And so I knew she had such a strong spirit. Yeah, and so I've been going with her ever since then.
You know, there's a little familiarity between you and I because I've experienced similar things.
Mm-hmm.
When you dedicate your acting career, this is what we're talking about. When you dedicate your acting career or your coaching, whatever you're doing, okay, to God, He brings people in that are Christians to support you. He brings people in, and sometimes I sit back and I wonder, how's this happening? I mean, I know how, but it's like, I'm amazed. And thank you. That's all that's all I know how to say, because it's like, and it sounds like you have been equally blessed in your own unique way too.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, she's honestly one of those people, and Tina as well. I tell people that I kind of rethink my life just about every 3 or 4 months, so every quarter of the year. But it actually is true. I rethink, is this where the Lord wants me? Do I still need to pursue acting? Should I go back into doing production? Should I go back to doing crew? Or should I just not do film at all? And the Lord either brings something into my life or brings the right person to have that conversation and encourage me to still stay the course. And the Lord is just so gracious that He provided Tina and Barbara and so many of the people in my class, my classmates, who keep encouraging me when I do kind of start thinking, oh, I'm not doing good enough. I'm not doing my job well enough. You know, I'm not putting enough time and energy into this. And they're just constantly being like, listen, you also have to live life. Like, as an actor, yeah, there's a lot of work put into it, but also you have to be willing to just live, because that's what's going to make you a better actor. And Barbara is really, really good about being like, yeah, there's got to be a healthy balance with your life as an actor, but also just living as a human being and being.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that actors are people too, that we don't just work, we live?
Yes, I don't know what happened.
Like we act like everybody else. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yep.
in society, okay, but we do something that's specialized.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard as an actor because you're like, I have thought, you feel like you sometimes become a chameleon in a sense, where, as naturally you kind of like, if you're in this friend group, you can kind of react and act this way. Then you're in this friend group, you kind of react and act that way. And so sometimes I'm like, oh my word, am I acting all the time? Am I not being myself, like, ever? Is this just a whole big act? And then who am I? And then you're just like, trauma. No. But but it's really nice, like, to see what you are like with different friend groups, but at the same time it's still you and being grounded in you. And that's really nice what Barbara and even Tina taught, is you got to be you, and then you build on that with whatever your character is. You are that character, but there's still like an essence. You're still being you. Like, there still has to be a natural part of that character. And I think it's a struggle, because sometimes you're like, oh wow, I would really like that part, but do you fit that part? Because who I am naturally also needs to fit, and I think sometimes understand that character to a sense. I know as an actor you can be like, oh yes, you use imagination, you use different things, you pull from different things, and you're able to do something completely different. But I mean, I think every human being has, we all have similarities. Um, but I think sometimes you got to think, I don't fit this part as well as somebody else. and understanding that. And because a lot of people say it's a rejection game, don't like that. It's not rejection, it's a choice. And it's time for somebody else to shine. So anytime I don't get a part, it just means that's not the part God had for me. It's not my story to tell, it's somebody else's. And it's somebody else's turn to shine in that part and tell their story. And they probably fit that part better than I do, honestly, because I'm not going to fit every part. If I fit every part, that'd be kind of boring.
Yes,
So,
because you're unique.
mhm.
You know, you're the only Christina May Loeffler that God created.
Yeah.
Maybe there's someone with your name out there, but they're not you. I like what you said about rejection. I've never heard anybody say that before. I'm going to borrow that with your permission. I'll give you credit.
Yeah. Well, I
But
think I borrowed Sherry Rigby, Micah
okay,
Hansen. She works with her, and I believe I did steal her thing. It's not our story to tell, so I'm gonna give that. That's thank you, Sherry. I think that's her little phrase. Like, it's not your story to tell; it's sometimes somebody else's. So I'm gonna say that. I think I stole that from her. So
okay. It's not a rejection, it's a choice. It's so healthy mentally, because the worst thing you can do, and I used to do this, you tell me if you've done it before in your earlier times, you know, or maybe even now at
oh
times.
yeah.
You go to an audition, you do your best, you know, and it then you get this idea that what does that mean? You know, you were enough, but it was the choice. It was out of your hands, correct?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really nice. My acting coach, Barbara, she worked as a manager for a talent agency. So she also really knows the business and casting and all of that so well that and then just all the stories I've heard, like, you as an actor, you sometimes have to fit, like, physically. A lot of times you do have to fit physically with certain things for the script. So if I'm a daughter of a husband and wife, and that husband and wife are more of the main characters, they're probably going to cast those two first. And then I'm going to have to fit those two characters enough to look like their daughter. So that's another thing. I may be a a good actor, or the same level as one of the other girls, but if the other girl looks more like the daughter, that's the obvious choice with that actor, because there's a lot of visual. And then especially if you're going with period pieces, it's very thankful. I've been given a lot of part in period pieces, and I've been told I have this is it a timeless look, which I'm still slightly confused by it. But I mean, I'll be like, hey, I will take it. I love period pieces. It's so fun. But people say you just don't look necessarily like the, you know, this kind of generation necessarily look. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Still kind of confused by it. But I guess I kind of have that look that can fit a lot better in maybe period pieces than maybe some. And I know, I mean, with makeup and hair and all that, you can still, fit a lot of parts. But
Yeah, but if you permit me to dive in here for a minute, you do have that timeless look. I don't know either how to explain that, but as a coach, I can see that now that you mention it. In period pieces, there's a radiance, there's a purity, and then physically there's your bone structure. Okay, along with your hair, everything. There's something about your face that fits into um, period pieces, like I'm going to go here, like Jane Eyre, or some kind of, what is that other show that's on that I love so much? Downton Abbey.
oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so you have that particular look. I'll vouch for that.
Okay, thank you.
So tell me something. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how could they do that?
I mean, get a hold of me. You can. I'm trying to think. You can reach me by email. If you want the more professional way. It's Christina May, MAE, and the Christina is spelled with CH. Christina May .actor@gmail.com. Or if you want to follow my Instagram or Facebook, Christina Loeffler, Loeffler is my Facebook, and then Christina May Lanay, Lanay is my Instagram. So you can reach me on Facebook and Instagram as well. But yeah, Gmail is probably, if you want a more professional way, you can reach me that way.
Okay, thank you very much. And the radio show that you assist in, what was it called again?
It's called Real Life Radio Show. It's very good. It's on Spotify. It's on iHeartRadio. And then we also are broadcast in several different states. We're starting to grow. We have a YouTube channel now. I think the YouTube channel is Real Life with Anhle, Anhle. And so now we're starting something called Shredded Truth. We're starting like Shredded Truth is which in-person podcast, like Zoom kind of thing with other people. It's diving deeper into like harder subjects, and On is kind of playing a little devil's advocate. So that's really good, diving into really deep subjects that can be pretty controversial. So it's pretty cool. And then he's starting to do some stuff with traveling. So he's doing a lot. So we're slowly building and growing. So you can follow our Instagram page. It's The Real Life Radio Show. And that's on Instagram. And then we'll keep you up to date on everything. So yeah.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you. It's been an honor and privilege to finally meet you here and talk to you. Thank you for being on Real Actors, Real Answers.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.